Rider shorts. Yeah, the first batch was kind of a mixed batch for us. This one seemed to flow a lot better. So we're gonna kick off with Flex, which was probably the most bizarre of all of them. What did
You
you get?
thought that was the most bizarre?
Well, yeah. Well, you know, the most artsy bizarre of all of them. We'll put it that way. So this one is about a bodybuilder checking himself in the mirror, and I love the fact that it was entirely inner monologue, and that Austrian Schwarzenegger accent, and he's just pumping himself up, and then realizing he could be better, and then pumping himself up, and then realizing he can be better until he passes out at the end. Um, just kind of weird. Um,
I liked it. I thought it was super artsy, and I feel like it was a very simple plot. Like he's screwing his courage to the sticking place, pumping himself up for a competition, obviously has worked hard.
mhm.
And then yeah, completely overdoes it. And then the little dreams of himself. Like of course, in his passed out state, he's still dreaming of himself
Yeah,
fluttering around. Like I thought it was, I don't know. For me, it could have been a statement on that inner monologue you have to give yourself for the. I mean, I wonder if the filmmaker was a bodybuilder or something. And this is kind of a statement on like what they go through for these competitions, which are really, really hard.
I loved the little instead of the birds, it was the bodybuilders. You're right because he saw himself just floating around in the air, making these weird little. Like I loved it. It was short, it was simple, and
Yeah,
to the point.
I thought it was
Uh,
great.
I just I don't understand people who need to be real big and bulky. Like when your veins are popping out above your skin, it's just I can't do it. It freaks me out.
Bodybuilding competitions are that's a competition that people really invest in terms of mind and body and money, and that's what they do. And it seemed like he was really trying to pump himself up for competition. So that's, to me, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. And then we
Yeah,
go to one that
I
was
thought it
very
was really, really well done. Huh? Sorry.
yeah. Then we go to one that was very straightforward. The thing that ate the birds. Now, I don't know if I'm just so used to horror films also having allegories to people's lives, and I'm kind of over it. But I saw this one as an allegory of a man fighting his inner monster that turns out to be a real monster in the real world. Like it was just parallel because it's about this couple, I guess, in English countryside,
Hmm.
and they're out in the middle of nowhere, and it's something's killing all these birds. So the husband and his friend go to try to figure out what it is. It's like a weird golem creature that they come across, but in the meantime there's this marital strife because she's thinking he drinks too much, and he's like, no, I'm not drinking. And there's this, like when he's at home it's uncomfortable, and when it's out in the world he's very much more comfortable. And yeah, so I'm always a sucker for a good horror and monster movie, and I like the design of this one. But I also felt it was like, he's obviously fighting his own inner demons, and now he's fighting real demons and trying to fix things. And I don't know if that's just me because I'm so used to that in horror because I watch a lot of horror, or if I just overread that one. What did you think?
I think it was a little predictable. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was, I mean, acting, I mean, every single one of these, acting and directing is just so fucking spot on. Um, I thought, actually, I said predictable. That's no, I meant unpredictable, because at first I thought it was going to be, because of course, some man who's a hunter, likes his guns. And of course, instead of trying to figure out what that creature is in the woods, of course, he has to kill it. Like, let's
Yeah.
not try to figure out, like, I've never seen that. What kind of an animal is that? What kind of a species? Like, let me see, does it communicate? And if it's eating our birds, maybe it's because it's hungry. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a fucking violent. And of course, he has to just blow it away. And it's not like he shoots it and then it's horrible the way he does it. It's super violent. So then I kind of thought it was going to be like, oh, you took one of ours out. Now we're going to take one of yours out because, of course, we go and we find that the woman has had her throat cut, which is a very human way to kill a human. So that monster, because like think about it, like that monster seemed to be a little humane, not humane, controlled, because you would have thought like maybe she would have been ripped to shreds or something, because the way that the birds were dead, they were like obliterated. But instead of ripping the woman up and doing like a monster thing, her throat was cut. And it's like, oh, so it's a civilized monster, knows exactly what he's doing, and he's pissed because the hunter took out one of his kind. So now he's taking out one of their kind. And then, of course, she dies. And then, of course, he's dead too, because, like, you're going to die. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. I think this is one I could see could be extended a little longer, but not by much. Like a mini movie, like we've been watching the first day, like 30 minutes. Probably would have felt about right for this one to understand some more, because it was interesting, the dynamic at home, and then with the friend who was like, don't shoot it. And he just fucking shot him in the face. Yeah, he obviously had some problems that were very much implied, and he was obviously trying to deal with those problems. And then there's, like, you're right, it's just eating blackbirds. Who the fuck cares? They're blackbirds. It's not bothering you, so just let it be.
Well, I love animals of all kinds. So I didn't love seeing the birds dead, but at the same time, animals eat other animals. So, it's like, but that isn't even my point. My point is, it's like, why does it all to be with men and their guns? Oh, if I don't understand that thing, I'm going to kill it. It's like, clearly, and the creature wasn't out to try. Well, we don't know if the creature was out to attack anybody, but it was hiding, and it looked like it was curious. Of course, you have to blow its head off. It's like, all right. So I don't know. I'm tired of that, and I'm tired of. And it didn't make sense to me that her throat was cut. Like, is it a civilized kind of monster? You know what I'm saying? Because like if it was some wild, crazy thing, she would have been ripped to shreds, but her throat was cut. That's a very human death.
Yeah,
and then his head was taken off.
Yeah, I think these were like monsters that just lived on their own, but they're like civilized, and they killed a kid, because that was obviously a very younger monster compared to the one at the end. And it just came out.
Oh, you thought that was a kid?
Yeah, that's why it was killing the birds and leaving a trail, and that's why it looked curious. Like, you could tell between that one and the one at the end, the one in the middle that they killed was obviously much younger.
Oh, I did not catch that. Wow.
Yeah,
so maybe they killed the baby or something.
Yeah, and so of course they're gonna come and stop that guy. But you're right, like these, I've got a gun, let me just show my manliness and shoot something, because that's the manly thing to do. Yeah, it's not. It's just dumb. It's one of those tropes people fall back on to create conflict, and overall I'm just like, whatever. Just whatever. And also, who doesn't have a potato peeler?
She didn't have a potato peeler?
Like, he was using a knife to peel potatoes. That's how he cut himself.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid.
Really? Oh, I'm going to be using this knife. That's one of those things. Just fucking pull out a potato peeler, y'all. You don't got to be this stereotypical jackass. Like,
yeah, you would think they had a farm. So, well, I don't know if they had a farm, but yeah, countryside, they probably grew potatoes. Why not have a potato? Yeah, it was well done in terms of production, and lighting and sound was extraordinary. The acting was wonderful, but it didn't. Okay,
Yeah, it was okay at the end, because I just felt it relied too much on horror tropes, and I like things that try to, even if you're going to use it, hide it enough so it's not obvious. But then we get to A Tale to Be Forgotten.
I watched that one twice.
I loved the cinematography in this one.
So did I.
The way they shot it. So this is based on a ballad from, I guess, England, about a woman and her lover and a dog-faced man.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman, I guess, kills the lover to feed the dog-faced man by the end of the tale, because I listened to the song at the end. And so the camera is this entire vertical up-down shot of this house and the river. And so, this man's chopping wood and it goes up and you see the lover in the window and it comes down and he's cut himself. So he goes to the river and it goes down and it goes in the river. And you see the dog-faced ghost behind him in the river, which was a really, really well done effect. And then it goes through the river and everything comes upside down as it comes to the other bank. And there's the woman and her lover walking. And it's all upside down because you're still in the water. And then you get to the bank and come back up to the house. And it comes back forward and it goes up to the house and comes back down. And she has the axe in her hand and the dude's like there. And then it goes back down the water. There's the dog face ghost over the body. Like, just wow.
That camera work was, because it's also filmed in the reflection of the water for part of it. So it's like an inverted, right? Because at first it's all like
it was backwards and upside down.
It goes up and then it goes backwards. And so then it's backwards, and in the reflection, I thought that was absolutely fucking incredible.
It was amazingly done. Like, I can only imagine the editing that it took to do that, the way they had to set things up to do that. Like, I could tell where cut points were to make it easier, like to just flip the film. Like,
you could tell. I couldn't tell.
Well, it's from a production standpoint. Like, I could tell where it would have been easier to stop filming in the water and just reverse the image, but match it up so it's seamlessly done. That's just a production standpoint. I can understand that. But you can't tell watching it. It looked like one continuous shot. And I love when they can do that. Like, Tarantino does it a lot in his films. My favorite one he did was at the end of Kill Bill Volume 1, where she's in the club and is following her going to the bathroom, and the camera's doing these weird, like, overhead to the hallway, just while, like, I love one-shot takes because they're so complicated and so much goes into them. And this made a one-take shot look breathtakingly easy.
It was, yeah. I immediately just watched it again, and the ballad. It says it's based on a ballad by Helen, and I can't remember Helen's last name, and I don't know anything about this ballad. I don't know if it's based in some kind of lore. I don't know if it's just someone named Helen, wrote this ballad, a friend of the filmmaker, whatever, and they decided to make a short about it. But it was haunting because the old lady or whoever the old woman is singing it at the beginning, and like the sound is perfectly brought in at the beginning, and then the song repeats at the end. And I'm not bothered that I didn't understand what happened. I'm not bothered that, why dog-faced man, what is that? Like, it just worked. Like, it was that camera work was some of the best I have ever seen. And this is coming from a short film junkie. I have seen a lot of short films. I've seen feature-length films too, but I've never seen seamless editing like this before. It was, except for Tarantino stuff, sure. Hitchcock was great at that too.
Yeah.
But this is because what made it so much more complicated was filming it from the reflection of the water.
Yeah, I'm
just blown away. Yeah, I'm blown away. You're going to hate me. I know we're streaming. I have to pee. I had like 9 cups of coffee.
Well, do you want to go pee and I'll start talking about Flick, or?
Oh, God. Yeah, start talking about Flick. I'll be right back.
Okay. So I'm just going to zoom it into me right now while you go do that. So, Flick. I have problems with this one, but I love it. So let me tell you the concept of Flick. This guy lives in like an efficiency apartment, and he's just watching Gamora the space turtle, the other Godzilla, but it's the space turtle. I think it's Gamora is the name. And he gets a call from his mom, and he ignores it and checks voicemail. She's wondering why the university is calling. to see why he's not been in class, and he stops the voicemail, and he's picking his nose, and he has this like giant wart-sized booger on his finger, and he can't get rid of it. And it turns out it's like this little booger monster tick that attaches to his finger, and it jumps through. It says 3 days later, he's like descending into madness because of this booger on his finger he can't get rid of, this little monster booger. And he's running around in his underwear and screaming and throwing things and talking to his finger and screaming what he doesn't want. He's trying to pull it off. He's doing all this stuff. And then his mom calls again. He throws the phone and it lands next to a knife. So he tries to cut it off, but it just moves. And he's like, well, you can see where this is going. When he grabs the knife, I'm just doing a synopsis of it real quick. And he chops his finger off, and I have so many problems with it, but I loved it. My biggest problem is this also, you have to suspend logic for horror films, even crazy ones. Just go to the fucking doctor. Like, don't spend 3 days in your fucking apartment screaming at a booger monster on your finger. Go to a doctor. So I have to give this guy credit. This guy was really good in this role.
Oh Lord, with some acting there, yeah.
Serious acting with a booger monster. But what did you think?
So I will say, just objectively, without getting with my personal feeling yet, really, he was an extraordinary actor. Quintessential sort of body horror type stuff, which the Japanese are good at. And I love that it starts with a kaiju type film, right? Because it's already set up that this guy has been missing class. His mother's trying to get a hold of him, and he's fucking watching, old ass kaiju movies.
Ghidorah. Is it Ghidorah or Gamora? The space turtle one.
It's Gamora. Was it Gamora?
Yeah, it's the space turtle one.
Okay. I thought it was a Godzilla type creature. I don't know my Japanese cinema. Okay.
When they made Godzilla, they made the space turtle one, and I think it's Gamora.
Okay.
Anyway.
But yeah, so I'm wondering if this filmmaker is a fan of like sort of body terror type stuff like Akira and like some other type of where your body does its own thing after it's infected or turned into something else. Anyway, it was absolutely disgusting and horrific. Suspension of disbelief. So I bought into all that because this guy clearly is already not doing well, just because like he hasn't left his apartment in God knows how long, so much so that his university is calling to find out where he is. His mother's worried about him. So it doesn't surprise me. That's set up very well. It doesn't surprise me that he also doesn't handle this parasitic finger booger thing well at all. Of course he's not going to go to the doctor. Of course he's going to he was already losing his mind. He already wasn't well. So I thought it was really well done. Everything that he did made sense to me. And you know what what I thought was going to happen at the end, because oh God, it was so well filmed. Again, lighting, sound design, the direction, actor was just fantastic. But like at the very end, I thought we were going to see another boogie crawl out. But then of course he puts his finger up the nose, which to me is just cycle. Like this kid is in a cycle. Like, yeah, it's going to happen again because clearly there's something going on with him. It really grossed me out. It was disgusting, but it was great.
Yeah. I didn't think body horror when I watched it. It's interesting you bring that up because the guy's really good looking. So I did not even start to equate body horror to this. But I do love a good body horror. Like one of my favorites is Bite. Oh my God, it disgusted Phil so much.
I've never seen it.
This woman gets bitten by a bug in a pool in like South America. She starts mutating into this bug in her house. It's extreme body horror. It's really gross.
Yeah,
But
like I didn't think this was extreme, but I think it touched upon what the elements of that genre are. I mean, it has attached to him. He can't get rid of it, and it's become its own thing. And I knew he was going to cut off his finger. I was like, that's all he can do. Then I thought, well, unless it's infected his whole body, we'll find out. But I was not surprised that he cut his finger off.
yeah, and then he threw it in the sink and it was still surviving, so he burned it.
Yeah, he burned his
And
whole fucking apartment, man.
yeah, and he just sits there and puts his finger right up his nose again. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!"
It was brilliant. I wonder if the filmmaker, like I said, I wonder if they're a fan of Japanese horror cinema and big old kaiju type stuff. If that's worth some research there. I thought it was disgusting. It's not my type of thing. I hate that shit. But hey, it was so well done.
Like I said, I loved it, but I had problems with it. But I still loved it. Like,
what were your problems with it? I must have missed
my
that.
problem was there's no real indication that there's something wrong with this guy.
Oh my god! But did you hear me? There's everything is indicating that something is wrong with him.
I didn't see that when I watched it. Like, he just lives in a minimalist, studio apartment. He's not going to school. He's just watching movies on laptops. To me, that just seems like he's just like a lazy guy. So
he's not well. I don't know, for the camera angles on him, the lighting, I could tell from the beginning, and this is just my perception of it. I could tell that there was something wrong with this guy. Plus, his mother has left so many voicemails, and then as the audience member, we get to hear a voicemail, and it's like, oh, this dude has checked out. He's not going to class. He's not speaking to his mother. Like the mirror voicemails are super annoying him, and he's just watching like these movies. Like, there's something wrong with this guy. It set it up for me really well, and it's interesting that it didn't do that for you.
Yeah, now that I see it in my head as you're talking about it, now I kind of get it a little bit more. And it's one of those things that just, yeah, it's really well done. And body horror aspect I would not have gotten, but until you brought it up, yes, I can now understand that. But I was like, just go to it. Like, I was trying to laugh, like, just go to a doctor by day 3. Like, if you're seriously having these problems, just, and also, who wears tidy whities? Nobody.
I know. Listen, as someone who is a fan of horror, such as yourself, because I'm not, horror keeps me up at night, and I have to sleep with all the lights on. Like, there was one short 2 years ago that I watched, and it was I think it was in the Midnighters, or I actually might have gone. Did there used to be horror shorts, or were they just called Midnighters?
No, Midnighters.
Okay, so there was one last year. Did you not last year? Did you see them from 2 years ago?
Yeah, I've watched them all.
Okay, the one where, and I'm sorry to make this one so long, but it's a little related.
Okay.
Yeah, the one where it's the trope that both of us are tired of, where one spouse is acting weird and the other one's gaslighting them. It's very Ray Bradbury, it's like, but this couple gets a delivery, and it's a box, and they get a voicemail from a friend who's like, I'm sorry, I had to give that to you. Don't open it. Obviously someone's going to open that box, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
I do.
It scared me. And I bring that up to say shit like that, really well done. Horror keeps me up at night. So I'm not a horror person, but I'll try to stomach what I can, especially for a festival where, these are all just fantastic. But for you, as someone who really does understand that genre, enjoys it, and watches it pretty often, it's interesting that you didn't see that was a little bit, and this is not a critique on you, I'm just talking with you, but like that you didn't, that your perception of like that fucking thing on his finger wasn't kind of a throwback or homage or whatever of a body terror thing. Cause that to me, like that's every thing I've ever seen where it's like, it attaches it to you. It becomes part of you. He was obsessed with it. He couldn't get rid of, I mean, that montage, it wasn't really a montage, but that thing in the middle, that actor was wonderful. He's trying everything. He's there's monologues. He's screaming, he's crying. He's trying to reason with it. Like he's like probably stopped. He didn't eat or drink or sleep for 3 days. It was wonderful. His performance was so good. But I'm like that to me is like, oh, it's a horror movie.
See, for me, when I describe body horror, it's a progressive thing. It's something that starts instantly, but by the end, it has consumed you as a body. This thing was very malignant. It was just sitting on his finger.
Would you want that sitting on your finger?
I would have gone to the doctor, honestly. But yeah, I can understand it's the body dysmorphia aspect, kind of like what I got from Flex, because there were parts in Flex where he was saying I'm not big enough, I'm not good enough, and then he up. Maybe that's a different type of body horror I need to start really incorporating into this one. Because yeah, it was something attached to his body that was not leaving, but it didn't get any worse. I was hoping it was going to start to get a little worse for him, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and I enjoy it more now that I've heard you kind of describe. Yeah, he had these issues, and this is this, so I get it a little bit better now.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I say body horror, I'm talking your body transforms like it's so gross.
No, I get it. And I'm talking about just elements of it. I'm not talking. Yeah, it definitely was like, like it, like I, like you, I thought it was going to get way worse. And truthfully, it was just not going away. And that was the body terror for this guy. It's like this little thing, which is like size of his, first knuckle. That was enough to absolutely make him crazy. Huh?
It was like a wart.
It was a booger. It was a booger that was alive. Oh, it was so disgusting.
And it came out of his body. So there's so many other questions. Like, anyways, so we're going to wrap up with the last Midnighter was Joanne Is Dead, which is just super fun. It takes place in a retirement home, and we're following the two orderlies who have the problem old lady patient. And it turns out that she's a little bit more of a problem than they thought. What were your thoughts on this one, Jessica?
First of all, I thought that was Shirley MacLaine.
Oh my gosh, she did look like it, didn't she?
I thought that was Shirley MacLaine. I thought it was fantastic. And it's the stereotypical, because you hear the horror stories of orderlies really not giving a shit about the elderly, really not caring about them, to the point that they're abusive. Neither one of these two that were focused on were abusive. They were just kind of assholes. Yeah. Definitely not the nicest people at all. But so that was normal to me. That was a good setup, and it was a good setup because when Joanne or Jenny, whatever her real name is, starts like spouting off all this stuff, of course, you already have an orderly who doesn't give a shit. So they're like, we don't care about anything that you're saying. You're crazy, blah, 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 blah. So I started, though, pretty early on in when we met Jenny. I was like, oh, no, this bitch isn't crazy. This bitch is a fucking serial killer. And she's probably trying to help you out right now. She's trying to confess. You're going to get fucked. And I just thought the way it went was so fun and funny, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
See, I thought she worked because she said she worked for the agency. I thought that was code for either a government agency or something else, because I enjoyed this one so much because one of my favorite books ever is called The Serial Killers Club. It's about a guy who thwarts his attempt to be killed and finds in his killer's pocket a membership to the Serial Killers Club, basically. So it's where a bunch of killers come together to talk about the kills they do as like a community and celebrate each other. So he infiltrates it to try to go kill these other killers. And so I thought this woman was part of like a Serial Killers Club, accidentally killed her best friend, who's Joanne. And it's just like, y'all gotta let me go. And then like she fucking, when he was doing the syringes, like, she's gonna be behind him. She's gonna fucking be behind him. And she turned around and she's like, hey bitch, like, yes.
I thought maybe she was a spy.
Yeah, it could have got either way.
Did she say something about being a spy?
The agency. She just called it the agency.
Okay, that was my interpretation.
I had to look people's faces to get out of situations like this. Bitch was crazy. So yeah.
I
It was
thought
amazing.
I thought it was super fun. Like
Oh, it was
it
so
was a
much
lot of fun.
fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And that's the one that proves horror and stuff like this can be perfect as a short form thing.
Totally. Is there
Like
any argument there?
I loved the end when the other orderlies in the bar, she goes, "Hey bitch, you showed, oh, would you dye her hair?" And it walks up and she's wearing the dude's face and she's like just for real. Like
I know. So
oh
stupid. So like so not stupid like stupid, but like fun stupid. Like, oh my God, that's so dumb. I love it. Yeah.
yeah, it's that one was hands down just amazing. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it
So
was really
well done.
good. Yeah.
And so we finished the whole section of South by. I'm really impressed.
Only took 3 days.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 days. Yeah, because there's so much, yo. So we're gonna take a quick break now, and we'll be back at 4 to watch some movies. So we'll be back
Yes.
later on this afternoon, this evening. And yeah, thanks for guys for tuning in and watching, and we'll be back.